We got Gators breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators breakdown. Because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
Never a dull moment for sure. Talking about meaning business, well, the Gators are meaning business on the recruiting trail right now. Just keeping it going. All these official visits started happening in the last few weeks, and the commitment train started. And 2 on this Sunday right here for the Gators. We're going to get into it. We are going to get into it for sure on this episode of Gators Breakdown. Some commitments for the Gators. 1 skilled player, athlete, 1 guy in the trenches. We're going to get into it. Chancellor Campbell, that's who I'm talking about along the offensive line. Massive, massive size. If you haven't seen that, we'll get into it. About the ideal size you want for an offensive tackle. Then, of course, Gainesville own Justin Williams committing to the Gators right here on this Sunday. Man, exciting day. Could have went live at any time. In the last hour or so, Chancellor Campbell commits. Okay, but the Hayes Fawcett tweet from On 3 said, Gators ×2. So we knew there was another one likely on this Sunday. Are the Gators done? I mean, who knows? Well, as we're on this episode here, we'll keep the socials. You guys might have to let me know in the comments. But if another one pops, we'll have to quickly shift and pivot and talk about another one. But I think it was a good weekend for the Gators. We'll get into that as well. I'm not sure the Gators are done. Maybe on this Sunday. But from this visit weekend, we'll see what it means in the immediate future for the Gators and down the road for the Gators as well. But this is a pretty big weekend for the Gators. Some big names we'll get into and some good news coming out of it. But the biggest news, of course, are the 2 newest commits, Justin Williams and Chancellor Campbell. We'll get into it right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. Everybody, thanks for hopping in. Thanks for all the birthday wishes last week. I was up in Georgia celebrating it with my parents over the weekend. So I was hoping if it happened on Saturday, it just was going to happen. I wouldn't do anything till Sunday anyway. But, of course, with all the visits and stuff, keeping up with it as much as I could, but tried to enjoy the birthday weekend a little bit. But there we go. That's just enjoying it. Harrison Sanchez hopping in saying, go Gators. Nathan Pate, is it football season yet? And Lucas Mann, he goes, that is 4 since I told people to chill, Dave. Yeah, I mean, of course, rolling into these visits, it's, we knew Florida, we knew Florida wasn't going to just stay at no commits or the low number of commits that were going to come. There's some big names in July, of course, as well. So, we're getting into it, of course, but we knew Florida in almost any school out there with the status of Florida. They weren't going to stay quiet as all these visits were happening. It was just a matter of time before it all happened. So of course, we'll get into it. But there's plenty to tease, a little bit of housekeeping, of course. Let's get into it. Independent Gator Media Day. Let's put it out there one more time. July 27th. It is brought to you by the Sachs Law Group. My good buddy John Sachs helping us out right here. Hosted by myself here with Gators Breakdown. We'll be teaming up with Stadium and Gale and High Top Sports for live media panels. Some special guests joining us. Q&A sessions. Meet and greet. All that good stuff. We'll try to get some players in. Some former players. Some current players. July 27th, 1 p.m. at First Magnitude Brewing right there in Gainesville. Tickets start at $25. Link is in the description. If you want to join, you can do so that way. Or if you want to help us out and become a sponsor of the event, you can reach out to us on social media. All that good stuff. Just reach out. Twitter DM at Gators Breakdown or gatorsbreakdown@gmail.com. All that stuff. Do it either way. But help us out. Independent Gator Media Day, July 27th. Let me put this back up there, too. The interview with J. Michael Sturdivant, I was going to put that out tonight. I did not want it to get overshadowed. So I might wait a week before putting it out there. I got some other episodes, of course. Wednesday night, I believe the SEC is putting out all the start or most of the start times for the rest of the SEC, the conference games. We already know the first few games of the season. Florida versus Long Island, I think, streaming. That's a night game. USF the next week's a 4 o'clock game, I believe. And then we already know at LSU in Baton Rouge. We thought that was going to be a night game. We got confirmation that was going to be a night game. I think the SEC is going to release the rest of it Wednesday, so that would be Wednesday's episode. more than likely. So I'm going to probably push. I want J. Michael to get the notoriety and the respect for that interview that he deserves. So we'll put it out at a later time. Really good. If you want to listen to it now, if you want to watch it right now, it is up at Gators Breakdown Plus. Benefit for the members there. But I would be putting it out there, the interview with J. Michael Sturdivant. So certainly I enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. Really good kid. A lot of talk about DJ Lagway, the quarterback, growing up next door to Graham Mertz. Talking about that Gators wide receiver room too that he's a part of. Really fun interview. You can get the interview at Gators Breakdown Plus, but I'll put it out pretty soon. At a later time. All right. Yeah. So let's get to it. Talking about these new commits here for the Gators. Let's get the graphics going. Still trying to figure out this new one. This new graphic system I got going. But, yeah. Here we go. Commit Justin Williams. Right there from Gainesville. 4-star. On both the 24/7 Sports Composite and the On3 industry rankings. Big time get for the Gators. On this official visit this past weekend. Commits to the Gators. One I was looking out for because we're going to see it when we start looking at the film. But, man, somebody you can get excited about. 4-star athlete on the 24/7 Sports Composite. Comes in as the 235th player overall in the country and the 15th ranked athlete, along with being the 37th player in the state of Florida. On 3 industry rankings, they think even higher on Williams, as he's a 4-star there as well. But he is the 188th overall player, so you get the top 200 player there. And averages out, and that's what you're looking at, about a top 200 player for both services here. But 188 on the On3 industry rankings and the 27th wide receiver. So you notice 15th ranked athlete on 24/7 Sports and the 27th ranked wide receiver on the On3 industry rankings, a utility player here for the Gators. He is the 24th prospect in the state of Florida on On3 industry. His decision was supposed to come next month. But he takes the short ride to Gainesville. Takes the short ride to the swamp, takes a short ride to campus, enjoys the official visit. He didn't want to wait. He didn't want to wait till next month. He couldn't wait any longer. He's coming off a visit to Kentucky last weekend. He's a major target for Florida State. Coming into the official visit week, because that was somebody they were targeting is, hey, this is somebody we got to beat Florida for. Well, a couple visits in, and it's not happening. Now, of course, it's just a commitment. Anything can change, of course. But right now, Justin Williams committing to the Gators. Somebody Florida State wanted really bad. The ability to play close to home. And being coached by a wide receiver coach, Billy Gonzalez. That was a big part. Big part of Williams' commit to the Gators. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's get into some film. Let's pull it up here. Let's get it going. And this one's a fun watch. Partly while these highlights are playing, and there he is in the backfield as a running back. Gets Bartram Trail right here, and look at him just pull away. At first, I didn't think he had the speed, and then he just pulls away. Not a small stature either, running the ball there. And there's a Wildcat quarterback. We'll get into it, but some crazy stats last season. And when I say crazy, I'm going to mention crazy. And when you think he's got him stopped, he's not stopped. He finished with 1,473 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns as a wide receiver, while surpassing 1,000 yards rushing and 16 scores at running back. He ended the season with 30 total touchdowns after also recording a kickoff return for a touchdown. He was named the Class XA Overall Player of the Year. Now get this too, guys. You may have seen this already. He became the first high school player since NFL legend Devin Hester to do the 1,000 receiving, 1,000 rushing in the state of Florida. That's pretty noteworthy. ability to come down with the ball. You're looking at the film here. Andrew Ivins put this analysis up in February. Quote, new age offensive weapon that was a full-time wide receiver but has since made the transition to running back and will likely get a bulk of his snaps there moving forward, as he's a rhythmic mover with excellent contact balance and can string cuts together and extend runs. Stuffed box scores as a junior and became the first high school player in the Sunshine State to surpass 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yard receiving in the same season since former NFL return man Devin Hester back in 2002. And that was worth repeating, right? Hits the hole with plenty of urgency, has proven to be very effective on counters as he follows his escorts and builds speed. Will make defenders miss in tight quarters with his quick feet and a slick spin move. But isn't afraid to power through would-be tacklers with his muscled up frame. As a pass catcher, has shown the ability to win out on the perimeter with his suddenness and body control as he can create separation while working in an expanded route tree. Should be viewed as a do-it-all utility man that can make an impact in a variety of different ways at the Power 4 level. Likely to find most success in a single back spread attack that wants to target him out of the backfield. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case here. Florida wants to use him as a utility player. That's how Billy Napier, Billy Gonzalez, Russ Callaway want to use Justin Williams. And you can see on the film, he's lining up everywhere. Whether he's split out wide, he's they're in the backfield, he's taking direct snaps as a Wildcat quarterback. You see him just making all these plays. And the thing is, a lot of these, you probably know it's coming, especially the Wildcat quarterback part of it. You know it's coming and you can't stop it anyway. I mean, the type of athlete you want to see. I mean, his frame for his size, I mean, that size and speed combo, that's what jumps out the page. I mean, that's the first thing I know. The first highlight that I looked at it, and I was like, okay, for that size and speed, I think you like what you see. And he's got the breakaway speed to blow past some defenders, plus the hands to come down with a lot, some of those tough catches you're seeing. But just the breakaway speed, being able to get away from guys. I mean, quarterback's got enough confidence. He just throws it up to him here backed up on their own goal line, and he just throws it up to him. He catches the ball 35, 40 yards down the field. Big time. I need to make sure I get those measurements right, too. Making sure we get there. 5'11", 190. To me, it looks a little bigger than that. 5'10", 5'11", 190. But that's what you like. Especially with those highlights. I mean, it just shows it. It just comes off the page. I mean, don't let the size fool you. I mean, like I say, you could tell he stands out a bit. I mean, not the biggest guy, but not the smallest guy either. But look at that spin move. Whew. Oh, man. I'm excited about this kid. Glad he's committed to the orange and blue. I mean, you don't know, when you're talking about recruiting these days. I mean, it's always been volatile and it's always been fluid, but more so now than it ever has been. But the guy being in Gainesville, wanting to play for Florida for years, getting the dream, getting the wish, earning his way, getting the offer, and committing to the Gators. I mean, another reason I'm excited about it, because one, I think that sticks. But don't let the size fool you. Like I've said, 5'11", 190, but, I mean, takes hits in the backfield, bounces off tackles. I mean, the way he's able to carry that frame, that's probably the biggest thing that jumps out to me. So, mention, he was talking about Florida after his visits and what the staff was telling him, sitting down with him, watching film. Florida's plan is to use him as that utility player. And they told him, put him in motion and use him like they do Trey Wilson. Use him like they do Vernell Brown III. And when you watch the film, you can see why. You want the ball in his hands. You want the ball in his hands for sure. So certainly, I mean, if if you can watch the replay here, give me the views, give me the likes, all that good stuff. That helps. Like and subscribe, by the way. You got to like the info you're getting here. Got to like what you're seeing here. Got to like the news. But, I mean, when you see what this kid does on film, you got to like it. So there we go. Justin Williams committing to the Gators. Florida used to have another Justin Williams back from Folkestone, back in the Urban Meyer days at wide receiver. Didn't really do much. But, yeah. Get that back. Gotta get the Chancellor Campbell highlights going in just a second. But there we go. Justin Williams. I like it. I think you can tell. It's somebody I think can fit in this offense very well. Yeah, and I want to see putting him with the quote unquote utility role that we've seen Trey Wilson in before, or putting him in motion. Sounds like the plan's there for Vernell Brown III to do those same things. How does that look with a more experienced Trey Wilson, a healthier Trey Wilson, with a quarterback like DJ Lagway? I think we'll get more of that this season. How does that look? I mean, it was a very, very small sample size, but the thought with Trey Wilson was big. Well, let's see him become more of a receiver. Let's see him become more of a downfield threat. And it was not much that we got to see him play with DJ Lagway. But he did what? He had that end-around run against, who was it, Charleston Southern, the cupcake this past season, took that to the house. But against Kentucky, had that big downfield catch early in the game as well. Something that we didn't necessarily see from Trey Wilson with other quarterbacks before. So I'm eager to see what that role looks like, and then being able to, put it here with down the road with Williams. All right, let me put the. I got to get the Chancellor Campbell ones ready. But let's get to his commitment. Sorry, guys, just kind of getting it ready here. But there you go, Justin Williams. He's been a 4-star overall. 235 overall, 188 overall on the On3 industry rankings. Chancellor Campbell also committed to the Gators. Big time offensive tackle option there for the Gators. From St. Petersburg. Playing there at Lakewood, 6'8". And you probably saw the title. 6'8" monster here. 6'8", 310 pounds. That is the size you want to see. That is the size you want to hear for an offensive tackle. He's been a steady riser in the state of Florida. He's a 3-star on both the recruiting services here. 594th overall on the 24/7 Sports Composite. The 50th ranked offensive tackle. The On3 industry rankings a little bit higher. 435 overall. The 33rd offensive tackle. I mean, the elite size. 6'8". He weighed at 297 at the Under Armour Next Combine. Clocked a laser 40-yard dash at 5.13 seconds at that size, and was also measured with a wingspan of 84.7 inches. Won't turn 18 until next December. An ascending talent here. He's a basketball player for most of his athletic life and didn't start playing football until his freshman year of high school. So with that frame, he's like, maybe he should be ranked a little higher, but probably part of the reason why not the experience to go along with it. Untapped potential. He announced his final 5 of Penn State, Ohio State, Colorado, Florida, and Georgia back on May 30th. Didn't take him long to commit to Florida over the others. The big thing here, after his visit, he said, quote, I think really the highlight today was seeing Coach Billy Napier and meeting him back in his office. That's the kind of dude that really believed in me from the start. He recruited me when I was down low. He's seen my growth. So getting in early with this one, helping the Gators. And for Florida, it's not a deep offensive tackle board this cycle. Florida has plenty of options along the offensive line, but the majority of them were interior prospects. And of course, just received the commitment of Ja'Nare Carr. And Florida's gotten 2 of their top prospects along the offensive line in recent weeks. Campbell's an in-state kid who, Florida dedicated a lot of time to. Got in early and just dedicated a lot of time. And when you consider the multiple times he's named Florida his leader, him coming into the official visit, you were hoping Florida would just get it done. And they got it done. Got the commitment here. And look, we mentioned before, Florida wants 5 offensive linemen, and now you got 2. So with Georgia pursuing Campbell, he was on campus there last week. He was visiting Georgia last week. Had the visits to Ohio State, Penn State. They're also heavily pursuing. He commits to Florida. And talking about Carr, Florida had to overcome mainly Tennessee there. Tennessee was pressing hard. I mean, you beat some rivals and some big-time name schools for your couple of offensive linemen here. So a little bit of ability to close. Now, not truly close because no pen to paper yet. And still even then, of course, it's not really done in the transfer portal days. Now, I got to hang on to these guys, but certainly close enough to get a commitment right now. Now I got to take advantage and completely seal the deal. All right, let's see if I can get these highlights going. I think I might have closed the wrong window here in just a second, so we'll see. Yep, I sure did. So, let's see. There we go. Now I got to just size it right. Live producing on its own. There we go. Don't have the nice little flames that we had earlier, but it's fine. It's fine. Let's take a look at the film here. So, powerful. I think, of course, the size. You already know the size. So it just jumps out. But offensive tackle, large frame, long reach, excellent footwork, added weight in spring. That's where all that size is coming in. He's been able to pack on a little bit of weight. And like I said, shaping up to be, I think with that size, just really, really stands out. And the college, you read about what other schools have thought about him and read about all the visits and why they're interested in it. The agility for his size, the basketball background coming into play here. Just exceptional agility for his size and the sheer force that he brings in run blocking and pass protection. Plays mean. A family full of athletes. His older brother played football for Ole Miss. Sister plays volleyball at University of Alabama. So you got the genes there. Let's go to what my good buddy Corey Bender from Gators Online, he offered this review. Going to the frame and physical tools, Campbell already boasts elite size at 6'8", 295 pounds, carries it well. He's lean, though, with the upper body, broad shoulders, and long arms, tools that college coaches covet at the tackle position. Moves well for his size, flashes the kind of athletic base that allows him to bend and mirror without sacrificing balance. Physically, there is plenty to like. As his body continues to mature, his ceiling should rise even higher. And going to his play here, one of the first things that pops out on tape is Campbell's demeanor as a run blocker. Plays with a nasty streak, shows clear intent to finish, blocks through the whistle. He generates power off the ball and maintains leverage, especially when working down the line or climbing to the second level. His hand placement can still be refined, but the effort and aggression are already there. Campbell isn't just looking to overwhelm opponents, he's looking to erase them. And that's what you like to see. That is what you like to hear. For improvement, the areas of polish and upside projection, Corey says no prospect is perfect. So Campbell definitely has areas to refine ahead of his college arrival. His hand placement sometimes drift high in pass protection, exposing him to counter moves. He can also occasionally be narrow with his base when resetting, and that could be a liability against speedier SEC edge rushers. However, those are coachable traits. With Florida's high-level strength staff and attention to detail, expect Campbell to sharpen his punch timing and widen his base. There is sky-high upside here. And yep, I mean, that's what you see. Not afraid to drive opposing tacklers into the ground. Can definitely hold his own. But being so inexperienced overall, and just not really any playing football until his freshman year, plenty of seasoning to be had. I mean, at that, 6'8", around 290, without the bad weight attached to his frame, it's just the ideal size for an offensive tackle. Just a high ceiling, I think, when you put that size together. Of course, there's more polished guys out there having more experience. But you got to like the ceiling here. It's an investment. It's a development. And he said that after the visit as well. Like, look, they're telling me I'm a developmental prospect. But he wants to come here and be developed. The prototypical frame that you'd love at tackle. So, time for Rob Sell, Jonathan DeCoster to show their development chops once again. Development's going to be the calling card because we know the high-level 4-star, 5 stars, not really in the cards here along the offensive line. They don't necessarily have to be. It's a developmental group position. There's a lot to like about what those guys have done there as far as development. That's going to be the calling card here as well. All right. So I mentioned Campbell joins Janare Carr as the second offensive line commit and now the 6th overall commit for the Gators. Remember, we talked about it just earlier. Lucas put it in here. Wasn't too long ago, Florida just had one commit coming into visits and a bunch of hoopla surrounding that. Of course, from the Florida angle, there wasn't much. That was a lot coming from rivals and all that good stuff. Of course, trolling, having fun, whatever you want to call it. Common sense, of course, was telling us, well, let the visits happen and the numbers will come. Just like they should. There was no way it wasn't going to come eventually. But 6 commits now. Campbell joining Justin Williams as these Sunday commits. Quarterback Will Griffin, safety Caden Hall, defensive lineman J.J. Perez to go along with Janare Carr recently as well. 6 commits right here for the Gators. All right, let's get to some comments right quick. Nathan Pate asking, is it football season yet? Not quite yet. It's recruiting season. It is recruiting season. Tony says, LFG. You guys know what that means. Family-friendly show here. 2 times for the commits there. Captain Trips does bring up a good point, and we'll see what happens down the road. Of course, it is just the star ratings and the rankings for the players currently, but we are turning 4 stars into 5 stars. Just wait. Now, I don't know if you mean in recruiting rankings or when they get to college and how they perform in college. But just going on the aspect of, these rankings aren't final. We'll see guys rise. We'll see guys fall. We'll see what it means. Corey Green saying, nice shirt, Dave. Hey, it fit, right? First shirt says, welcome to Florida. Well, we got a couple guys we had a welcome to Florida today. Sometimes I try to theme it up. Sometimes. There's the Sanchez Freakus production, I'm assuming he means for Justin Williams there. There's people talking about his balance and what we could use there. CB, Dave, do you think the Gators will get any 5-star regardless of position in the 26 class? Well, sorry, guys, but let's just take a look at it. I don't have it pulled up, so give me just a second to pull it up. Let's go player rankings. Right off the top of my head, I couldn't think of any. None in the top 10 I see. Pepe, the offensive tackle that ended up committing to USC. You know, I know Florida was after him. He's at IMG. He ends up going to USC. I mean, his name was floating down there a little bit. Braylon Womack, the safety from Mississippi, of course. I think he was on campus, last week. Rave review for Florida. I'd be picking Ohio State right now. So there's one 5-star that I'd put a name. You know, I'd put a circle around the name to say maybe, but I wouldn't pick that one. Probably not as seeing where we're at right now. Chauncey Kennan, the cornerback, maybe. 27th overall in the 24/7 Sports Composite. Trenton Henderson, edge out of Pensacola. That's another one I'd go with. I mean, I don't know if I'd be predicting any of these guys right now, but there's your best chances. Chauncey Kennan, Trenton Henderson. Yeah, 32 5-stars. You know, that's usually the number there. Any around that could rise up to 5-star status? Probably not. I mean, Caden Proflo, the tight end, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida's in that mix as well. He's 42nd overall. I don't know if he'd get 5-star status. You know, Valdon Sonnet from Virginia. He's a 45th ranked player. He's a high-level 4-star, that defensive line. I mean, he might even be the highest-ranked player he might be the first one I would predict to Florida out of this group right here. So, yeah, no 5-stars. You're getting to, at least according to 24/7 Sports, getting to the 45th best player in the country. And we'll see what the rest of, you know, we saw it last year, how fast it can switch. So as of now, CB, I'll say no 5-star in the class. There'll be some guys right around that area. But I wouldn't say right now. Hopefully I'm wrong on that one. Harrison Sanchez, Eugene Wilson, the third type of player there for Justin Williams. Absolutely. Mike Banks saying really good commits right now for us Gators. Solid building pieces. S. Beck, Billy and company starting to get this class put together. Daniel D bringing up a good point because you see the offers and you see the over who. Daniel D says, my favorite part of these commitments is the over schools are improving with each commitment. Yeah, Campbell, like I said, he just come off a Georgia visit last week. Ohio State, Penn State in the mix, so you ain't getting much better than that. Clavier Spieler, I'm sorry if I messed that up. He said Gators focusing on the trenches this year. Not a lot of 5-stars there. And there's usually not. And like I said, Florida really, really trying to go after 5 offensive linemen this cycle. 2 in the class right now. You got 1 interior and 1 in the tackle spot. And we'll see what it means in the end for the Gators to try and get those 5. Hey, let's before we sign off here on this episode, let's talk a little more of the visits from this past weekend. Let's stay at wide receiver. Justin Williams, the commitment here, of course, here for the Gators. Let's talk some more about the moves Florida's making at the position. So there were 2 predictions that came in over the weekend. Justin Williams was one of them. I see you laughing, so I know I probably mispronounced it. I'm sorry if I did. May have to put a phonetic explanation in there for me. But there were 2 predictions at wide receiver for Florida. And Justin Williams was one of them. But the other one, and just right down the road from me, St. Augustine, Samorian Wingo. It's been a Florida-Miami battle with Florida slightly leading. And this weekend, that cemented the thought. My good friend, of course, Corey Bender, throw him back in here. He submitted a prediction for Florida to land Wingo. Quote, after speaking with multiple sources on Saturday, we're told optimism in Gainesville is quite high. Wingo is currently in town for his official visit, with the returns on his experience being very positive. That led us to submitting an RPM pick for the Gators. So, Billy Gonzalez playing a major role here. Now, Wingo, let's go back to the point that we were just making. Who are you getting commits over? Where are all the visits for these prospects happening? Wingo also plans to visit Alabama next week and South Carolina the following weekend. A commitment could come later this summer. Wingo goes on to say, quote, I feel like the right time is right before the season. I don't think it will be any earlier than the end of July or early August. So there you go. There were two predictions. Florida got one in Justin Williams and then some more in Wingo. So you get Wingo in the mix there. He's one of the state of Florida's best receivers. You got Florida State and then potentially UCF or Missouri. In the mix, that was for Justin Williams. So when you start talking about other offers and stuff, so like I said, Bama in the mix there for Wingo. Start about Justin Williams and maybe who he was committing to Florida over, and as you start throwing in the mix, FSU, Kentucky. He was on a Kentucky visit last week, so we'll see. So, keeping it going, Florida had a 5-star on campus. A 5-star wide receiver, Sedarian Morgan. Now, he does say Florida's in his top 2 after his official visit, with a decision coming on July the 2nd. So, you're talking about 5 stars right there. Maybe I overlooked him in that list a second ago. But Sedarian Morgan does put Florida in his top 2, so we'll see. Maybe that's the best one. Morgan said Gonzalez emphasized how he could be a big play threat and a matchup nightmare at the next level, and showed him about 5 wide receivers that he has coached that are similar. The product from Alabama says, quote, I still got to go to Auburn and Alabama. I really like Colorado. It was my first time going out there. He visited Georgia. It was his first time being there. Everyone is fighting and everyone is doing a pretty good job. So that's what the 5-star had to say. Other visits, like he said, he's still got to go to Auburn. He's still got to go to Alabama. So he's putting Florida in his top 2, but he is from the state of Alabama and still has those state of Alabama schools coming up. So it could have been a visit high, putting Florida in the top 2, but I mean, it's what you like to hear. It's what you like to hear coming out of a visit. So while we're talking about wide receiver, let's not forget, any wide receiver choosing to come to Florida is deciding to do it after last cycle's haul of Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Nashawn Montgomery, and Muiz Tunkara. There's a lot of potential. A lot has been made since going into spring practice when Wilson, Brown III, Montgomery were on campus. We're taking part in spring practice, and the reviews have been glowing. So I give a lot of credit, for Justin Williams. You want to commit after that group, even more credit to you. Anybody else who wants to hop on board, even more credit to you. Competition is going to be fierce at this position. That's what you want. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a football staff. Credit to the staff for, making these moves here. You may not get the elites like last cycle, but the ball certainly isn't being dropped. There's some good players. Justin Williams is being one of them. You heard how excited I was about him and what he can bring to the table. I like what Samoan Wingo from St. Augustine brings to the table. That would be getting those two after the haul of last cycle. That's a good job of keeping the level up at the position. But credit to players, with NIL in play and all that, they could go anywhere else. Take NIL money, and maybe where the depth chart also may be a little friendlier. So when you're at Florida right now, NIL is a factor. It's going to play into a factor. It's going to have to be close to what other schools. But for Florida, so you got to pay the guys. And now now, of course, we'll see what all the new rule changes come about. Either way, you got to pay the guys. And you're going to have to fight off the recruiting, the negative, quote unquote, negative recruiting out there saying, you saw that cycle last year. You think you're going to go beat Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, Nashawn Montgomery? Schools are saying that. It's a good job of this staff for locking up, well, quote unquote, as good as you can lock up right now, Justin Williams. It's a commitment. And some other receivers, the interest is there. That's what you're supposed to do. The FSU commit Darian Williams, he was on campus this past weekend as well from Tampa Plant. So with all the wide receivers news here, it'll be interesting to see how he fits in all of this. There was some thought of him coming in to visit this weekend as well that he might be eventually on flip watch. So now, to me, it may depend on how serious a threat Florida is for Morgan. You just got a commitment from Justin Williams, and Morgan Wingo's in the mix. I think Wingo was definitely higher on the board than Darian Williams. So I don't know how that works out. So, but some thought maybe flip watch. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see where that one goes. The next position to headline is the edge position. Florida had two big-time visitors this past weekend with four-star from Duncanville, Texas, Kevin Ford, and IMG's Jake Kroll. For Ford, I've liked Florida standing with him coming into the visit, and Corey Bender one more time. Great. Hey, the guys at On 3 right now are killing it with the addition of Blake and him and Corey together. Keith Niebuhr, I mean, that recruiting coverage is top-notch right now. So shout out to those guys. I can't cover it all by myself here on Gators Breakdown, but they share the stuff on social media, want me to share their stories and stuff. So I won't share everything. Those guys do hard work, but where it makes sense, and I'm going to share their stuff. A little bit of catch-22. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So shout out to those guys for some great work here. But I've liked, personally, from what I've been hearing and asking around about Kevin Ford from the state of Texas. And Corey reports now that Florida feels like they now lead in this recruitment. And I have felt good about this one coming into the visit anyway. And additional top contenders include Alabama, Texas A&M, and USC. Right now, though, the Gators are definitely confident coming out of this weekend's visit there. And then Kroll, he doesn't decide until October. And he was on campus this past weekend as well. Kroll's father being a Florida graduate, that certainly helps. I mean, the visit, he was sharing a ton of videos on his visit this past over weekend, having a good time. Won't be just about the visits, though. They're going to very detailed. You're going to see how all the finalists, and specifically for me, Oklahoma, does during the season. But him, his family, they love where the Gators program is. Wants to see how Florida, DJ Lagway, see if they can match the expectations coming up this fall. But I think Florida has as good a shot as anybody. When this official visit was all said and done, was a big success. I still think Oklahoma's the main competition there. So, and I even said if he's going to commit in October, maybe it comes sooner than that. And if a visit to Oklahoma or if a commitment to Oklahoma happens, now as I'm saying, and this might play into it. They are not shy about saying, "Hey, we're going to wait till the fall and see that." I think some of that can be. There's questions around Florida and Billy Napier. And can they live up to the expectations? There's questions at Oklahoma and Brent Venables of can they bounce back? I think that's the two main schools he's looking at. So maybe a commitment to Oklahoma doesn't happen because I've had that in the back of my mind. Him saying, a visit or a commitment to Oklahoma happening, but then Venables ends up getting canned. And then Florida's right there waiting on him. But it might, if he takes his time, there may not be a commitment to Oklahoma and you get the rebound. Looks like he's going to take his time and then figure out where Florida looks, or what Florida looks like, what Oklahoma looks like, and then make the decision. So if he doesn't make the decision in the summer, it looks like it's going to be a decision based on how seasons are going. Harrison Sanchez throws up McCoy with some eyes. Yeah, he wasn't on campus this past weekend. That's where I'm concentrating this episode. But Jarayla McCoy, yeah, you like where Florida was at on that one too, at the edge spot. Last position It's an interesting one, is the tight end spot. Going back to this past weekend, IMG Kakua Amua, hopefully I'm saying that right, has been predicted for Florida since April. He's named Florida officially his top school after this weekend's official visit for him. 6'6", 255 pounds. Him and his mom are big friends of Russ Callaway. So see where that one goes. I think Florida's in really, really good shape with that one. But tight end's interesting. Tight end's interesting. You go back to this latest weekend as well, and tight end prospect Lincoln Watkins, he put Florida at the top of his list. And he's got scheduled visits to Nebraska, Tennessee in the coming weeks. But the Gators have established themselves as the clear front runner. Impressed Watkins and his family. So the situation at tight end is an interesting scenario. Kakua Amua, tight end from IMG here. I'm saying maybe likely to commit. Florida wants another tight end. And they're in the mix. Remember, Heasy Kent from Brunswick. Florida is, and Russ Callaway, really, really prioritizing him. Caden Prothro. Just talking about the other tight ends Florida leads for. I think it's going to be a wait-and-see approach with Watkins. Amua, I'd say they'll probably go ahead and accept his. But Heasy Kent, that's worth waiting on. Russ Callaway is going to have some options this cycle. Heasy Kent, they put out a behind-the-scenes video of his visit last weekend. I mean, a lot of fun looked to be had there. I mean, he's right up the road from me right here. I mean, right up there in Brunswick, Georgia, Miami. Schools to watch out for there, but some options at tight end. Some options at tight end. All right, there we go. Getting you caught up. Couple commitments right here. Justin Williams from Gainesville. Chancellor Campbell from St. Petersburg joining the 2026 class for the Florida Gators. And getting you caught up on this past official visit weekend. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. Everybody hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Help us out right here on this episode of Gators Breakdown. I am David Waters. Thank you for joining us. And like I said, kind of be on the lookout this week. Those SEC kickoff times. We'll come back around, do an episode on that. And then I'm on vacation the week after that. So just trying to pre-plan some other episodes for you guys. But that'll do it. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'll catch you on the next one.